Ms Malhotra.
Good morning, Chair. Today we return to hearing evidence from the bereaved families of those who died while under the care of trusts in Essex. This morning we will hear from Samantha Cook. She will be giving evidence about her sister, Paula Peretti, who died on the 6th of January 2022, aged 46. Her evidence will be followed by Karen Michelle, who will be speaking about her sister, Marion Michelle, who died on the 4th of March 2022, aged 56. Both sessions will include details of the care and treatment provided by those who died, and will also include some detail of how they died. There may be aspects of today's evidence that are difficult to listen to. Understandably, there may be some for whom it may not be possible to sit through the two sessions. As with other days, anyone in the inquiry room should feel free to leave at any time. May I take this opportunity to remind those engaging with the inquiry that emotional support is available for all who require it. Present here again today are emotional support staff from Hestia, an experienced provider of emotional support at these types of hearing. They are currently in this room and can be identified by their scarves. There is a private room downstairs where anyone who needs emotional support can talk to the Hestia support staff. If you prefer, you can speak to a member of the inquiry team and we will put you in touch with the emotional support staff. We are all wearing purple-coloured lanyards. For those following the hearing online, information about the emotional support that is available can be found on the Lampard Inquiry website, and that's at lampardinquiry.org.uk. The support tab is near the top right-hand corner. We want everyone engaging in this inquiry, in whatever way, to feel safe and supported. Chair, we are ready to hear from our first witness this morning, Samantha Cook, who would like to be referred to as Sam, and for her sister Paula to be referred to by her first name. Sam would like to affirm, and I wonder if that could be done now, please.
Okay, thank you. I, Samantha Cook, do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Now, you've provided a witness statement. It's dated the 23rd of December of last year.
Yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to read it recently?
I have, yeah.
Thank you. And I think there's a correction that you'd like to make, one correction you'd like to make to that statement.
There is, yeah.
And perhaps we could have this on the screen. It's page 3, paragraph 13. At paragraph 13, the second sentence, the wait could then be even longer when staff were not calling or checking in as regularly. I think the correction you'd like to make is the word staff should be family.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And aside from that correction, can you confirm that the contents of your statement are true and accurate?
I can, yes.
Thank you. Now, I've said a few moments ago, Paula was your sister.
Yes.
Sadly, she died by ligature on the 6th of January 2022, aged only 46. She had a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder in 2004 when she was 29 years old, and a history of addiction and self-harm. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
You, I'd like to start at the beginning, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Just in terms of Paula and yourself, was there a big age difference between the two of you?
There was a 9-year age gap.
And so would it be fair to say that speaking about the earlier events of her life might be slightly challenging for you? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So just bear in mind to tell us what you can recollect, all right?
Okay.
You describe in your statement about a difficult childhood where Paula witnessed some traumatic events.
Yes.
Was this, as far as you can remember, to the best of your recollection, was this when her difficulties with her mental health first arose?
Yes.
Can you help us with roughly sort of what age would that have been?
So obviously there's a 9-year age gap from what I've heard from my mum. There was even problems going back to primary school. I remember witnessing for myself my sister struggling with her mental health from when I was about age 5 or 6, from when I can start remembering.
So quite early, when she was primary school age?
Yeah.
Okay. I think in your statement, perhaps we could have that at page 2, paragraph 10.
You will say if you want a break.
Yes, thank you.
You say that she suffered with her mental health for the majority of her life, and that there were admissions in the last 20 years of her life. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you make reference in your statement to Paula leaving home at the age of 16.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And can you help us with whether that was connected with her mental health at all?
Yeah, it was. So due to her mental health, she used to have her and my mum become quite, well, they'd just argue a lot. And I think Paula then made the decision to move out at the age of 16. She stayed close, but without them living under the same roof, they got along a lot better.
I'd like to turn to Bethlehem Maudsley, so moving on a little bit in time. Paula, I think at this stage had left home, and you describe she had her first admission at Bethlehem Maudsley when she was around that age, 16 years. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds correct.
And that's a hospital in southeast London, is it?
As far as I know, yes.
And are you able to say how long she was there, whether she was detained under the Mental Health Act?
I don't know that, sorry.
I'd like to move forward in time then to the Linden Centre, please. Can you help us at all with when Paula first attended the Linden Centre?
I can't remember when she first attended the Linden Centre. She was in and out quite often throughout my childhood. My mum tried keeping me a little bit away from that. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So perhaps if we have... you explain that she was in and out, and appreciating what you say, that there was a big age gap and your mother tried to keep a lot of it from you.
Yeah.
Can you help at all with whether she was detained under the Mental Health Act? Was she there voluntary or involuntarily? Can you help at all with that?
So I don't know for sure that, sorry.
That's okay. And you describe a number of admissions that Paula had. Are you able to put a number on how many?
No, sorry.
If we were to say 5, between 5 and 10, or more than that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say.
And do you know what ward she was in?
No,
at the Linden?
sorry.
Okay. Can you help us a little bit with what Paula told you about the Linden Centre and what her impression was of it? And then I'm going to ask you about what your impression of it was. But just tell us, what did Paula tell you?
Oh, Paula hated it there. So obviously as I got a bit older, I do remember more parts, but she'd always say, when she was in there, she'd say, oh, can you get me out? I want to go. And she'd say, take me to the pub or something like that. She just wanted to get out. And somehow she was able to get out and then go there and then sneak back again. So I don't quite know how that happened. But Yeah, she'd say that she'd make her, while she was there, the staff would make her feel less than human. The way she was treated was disgusting. They were understaffed. And the stuff she witnessed was just horrendous. The way people were treated, the stuff people would do to themselves, and the tools they were given. Yeah, she was not a fan. She hated it.
And did you visit Paula at the Linden Centre?
I did a couple of times, yeah.
And what was your impression of it when you attended?
I didn't go in. I'd visit her and she'd come out, and then we'd go to a nearby pub and then she'd go back. But from, I'd go into a reception area and just people didn't see it, the staff didn't seem too friendly and welcoming.
Okay. I just want to ask you a little bit about Paula leaving the Linden Centre. You mentioned going to a pub and that she would go out and then sneak back to the Linden Centre. Is that something that you saw her doing? How do you know that? Because,
I saw her do it. Or she'd call me up and say, please, can you come get me? She goes, I really just need to be out of here for a little bit. And I'd say no most of the time, or she'd say, I'd say no, because how was I supposed to get her out? I was quite young, but she's like, oh, meet me here. And I'm like, what are you doing out? She's like, I can sneak back soon. She's a rascal.
Did she give you the impression that she was doing something she shouldn't be doing?
Yes, yeah, because there's, so where the Linden Centre is, there's a pub right round the corner from it. I don't know whether it's still open, but she'd say, oh, meet me here. I've got out, snuck out for a bit. And then stay out for an hour or two, and then she'd go back. But you'd have to talk her back into going back, because she didn't want to, but she knew it was in her best interest.
So the way you're describing it is Paula knew she shouldn't have been going out. She sort of snuck out and snuck back in. Does it follow that she wasn't on any sort of formal leave from the centre? Or
no,
that she was doing this herself? Okay. You mention in your observations of the Linden Centre in your statement, and you've touched upon it now in your evidence about it being short-staffed.
Yeah.
Could you just explain what gave you that impression that it was short-staffed, bearing in mind you went to the reception area and didn't go inside? So what gave you that impression that it was short-staffed?
So Paula would always say, short-staffed, not enough people. If you try to call, you can often get through. And one of our family friends, she'd mention how there was never any staff. She'd go more often than me, obviously. I was quite young at the time, to begin with. And she'd say that it was short-staffed.
You mentioned in your statement about Paula at one stage having to share a room. Can you talk to us about that? Why did she have to share a room, and what impact did that have on her?
She said that she had to share a room, but she really didn't like it. She said she felt unsafe. She just said she had trouble sleeping while she was sharing a room because she just didn't feel safe at all.
Were there any incidents concerning Paula or any other patients absconding from the Linden Centre during Paula's time there that you became aware of?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Did you become aware of any patient safety concerns at the Linden Centre?
Obviously, Paula, from what she said, when she got knocked down by the staff.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
You mention it in your statement.
Yeah.
An incident, 15th of October 2012.
Yeah.
So quite some time ago.
Yeah.
I think you say in your statement, it's for anybody that's following, it's paragraph 17, page 3, that Paula was 37 years of age at that time.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, to the best of your recollection, what happened on that occasion in 2012?
Okay, so Paula had told our family friend that she was hallucinating and feeling strange. So our family friend had called the Linden Centre in advance and said, Paula's hallucinating, she's not. Because sometimes when she'd be struggling with her mental health, sometimes it would make her lash out a bit. But our friend said she's not lashing out, she's calm, she wants to come in because she's hallucinating and she's scared. So our friend took her there and they tried taking her headphones from her, and my sister didn't want to give up her headphones. She wanted to listen to music. The music was kind of grounding her. And she said that she didn't want to give them up, but she reached in her pocket for something and the staff just tackled her to the floor, and they tackled her family friend as well for absolutely no reason. And they'd left a big hematoma on Paula's leg. It's like a tennis ball size. And then when she was saying that she needed medical help for it, they wouldn't let her get medical help for it. They wouldn't let her go to the A&E department for it until one day, like a few days later, she felt like a pop in her leg.
And so when she did eventually go to the accident and emergency department, what, if anything, was said about her leg? Do you know?
Sorry, what was the question?
So it's about, let's have a look at your statement, that might help.
Yeah.
It was some time ago.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at page 4, paragraph 22.
Yeah.
So we're just a little bit further forward from her, the initial incident when her leg was injured during... you've described a restraint. Can I just ask, before we do look at that part of your statement, you say that they wanted to take her headphones from her, and you've described music as being important for Paula, and she wanted to listen to music. Do you know, was any reason given why they wanted to take her headphones from her?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I don't know, sorry.
Do you know what type of headphones? Was there a wire? Was it a wire headphones, or was it a wireless?
I'm guessing so, because it was 2012.
Okay.
So yeah, probably. But yeah, that's the only reason why I could think that they'd try taking her headphones.
Okay.
How do you know about this incident?
How do I? Well, I remember visiting Paula in the hospital after she'd had her operation, and she told me about it. But also, our family friend told me, but Paula told me by herself.
And did your family friends tell you anything about the sort of mood that you said she was hallucinating?
Yeah.
How did she present at the time that she went into the hospital? Was she calm? Or?
Yeah, so our family friend, she said that she was calm, but she'd called in advance and said, Paula, even though she lashes out sometimes, she's very calm this time. She's just scared. Because she's hallucinating, and she knows the hallucinations aren't real, but she's scared of them. So yeah, she did say that she was calm, and so our family friend, she helped Paula a lot throughout the years, so much, and she'd seen her in her worst. So she was quite unusually calm this day.
So she wasn't as she might be at her worst.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'm just being asked to remind you to slow down a little bit, if that's all right. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, but there's a transcript that's being typed as you speak.
Okay.
So can I just ask you to slow down slightly, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. So you mentioned that there was a pop in Paula's leg, and we can see that was on the 20th of October. And then paragraph 22 here, you say that on the 24th of October, so 4 days after, there was a ward review and Paula's injury was assessed again by the team doctor. And that day she was immediately admitted to A&E for an operation.
Yeah.
Can you remember if that operation took place at all?
Yes, it must have done because I remember visiting her in the hospital. So as far as I remember, yes, because I do remember seeing her after in the hospital.
And at paragraph 25 of your statement on page 5, you refer to some compensation that Paula received.
Yeah.
Was that as a result of the injury that she received to
Yes.
her leg, which
Yeah.
then caused her to have surgery?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if we could then move to 2 further topics, one about Paula's medication, and then I'm going to ask you about substance use.
Okay.
Firstly, you mention in your statement that Paula was prescribed a depot injection,
Yeah.
and that she'd been having depot injections since she was 34 years old. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was for her mental health, was it?
Yes.
And that's an injection of medication that she received on a regular basis,
Yes.
was it?
Every 2 weeks, I think.
And just tell us, I mean, very difficult to summarise Paula's reaction to that medication over a long period of time, but if you were to try to characterise it or summarise it in a way for us, did the medication help her? Was she stable on it, or did it make no difference?
The depot injection was the first thing I'd ever witnessed that really helped Paula. It'd make her sleep for about 2 or 3 days straight after, but she stopped self-harming and everything for quite a long time. It was the first thing that seemed to actually work for her. That was like a godsend, that depot injection.
And I'd like to then ask you about substance use. You refer in your statement to Paula's use of drugs. Can you help us with, to the best of your recollection, when did that start?
I don't remember exactly when it started, but I know that it had been going on for a long time.
Okay. And are you able to help us with whether that was illicit drugs or prescription drugs?
Illicit drugs.
Was she addicted to drugs, would
Yes.
you say? Did Paula recognise that she was addicted?
Yes.
And what, if any, connection did you observe between Paula's drug use and her mental health?
So, you could always tell when she'd done a lot of drugs, but that would also send her a little, like, she'd start hallucinating and start thinking that things are happening that are not. And then she'd seem to get control of it and stop, but I don't know whether it was because of where she lived or the people she knew, or I don't know what it was, but she'd always go back to her cocaine addiction.
Can you help us, not so much in the community, because we're going to come and speak about that in a moment, but just in terms of that period of time where she was at the Linden Centre, how was her drug addiction managed at that time?
Are we going back to 2012, or are we more recent?
Well, if you're able to help us,
I don't know.
just whatever you're able to recall, and then see if you can place it in time for us.
So with the Linden Centre, I'm not too sure how that was managed, but I do remember she was offered rehab. She was given lots of brochures for rehab, promised that she could go. All she had to do was choose one and fill in a form for it, but nothing ever come of it. Even when she tried asking for follow-ups of when am I going to rehab, it's like nobody knew what she was talking about, even though it was something she was promised and had all the brochures for.
You mentioned brochures. Do you know where she got those from?
I think it was Open Road.
And do you know how she came to be involved with Open Road at all?
I don't, sorry.
In your statement, perhaps we can have that up. It's page 5 and 6, paragraph 29. So towards the bottom of the page there, we can see that you list occasions, 6 occasions where Paula had overdosed. Can you tell us what you knew about them at the time?
I'm not too sure about the 2009 one. I'm only really familiar with the last few. I think my sister. So with the, especially January 2020, I think COVID had a big part to play in her mental health because obviously with all the restrictions and everything.
Just explain that a little bit more to us, please. What impact did the restrictions have on her mental health?
So she felt very alone. I'd go visit her, but I'd have to stand at the door because I was working with strictly COVID patients at the time, so I didn't really visit them. So I'd just have to stand at the door and see her when I could. And I think she felt very isolated and alone, and it took quite a toll on her mental health, as I'm sure it did a lot of people.
I wonder whether you can help us. So at around this period of time, to the best of your recollection, what was there an overemphasis on Paula's drug addiction over her mental health, would you say, or could you not comment on that?
I did notice that the worse her mental health got, the more drugs she took, which in turn, the worse her mental health got. It was a bit of a back and forth with that.
Just going back to the Linden Centre, were you ever asked by the medical professionals who were treating and caring for Paula about the extent of her substance use and its connection with her mental health? Is that something that was explored with you?
I wasn't never asked that.
And generally, in terms of engagement with you, did you have any interaction, or did anyone in your family have interaction with members of the medical staff at the Linden Centre?
Not really, no.
You say not really. What do you mean by that? Was there some?
Well, our family friend, the one that would help Paula all the time, she'd try calling. She was also trying at her brother was in there at the same time as well, so she was trying to help him as well. But she said she just didn't feel like she was getting anywhere.
You've talked about Paula having been badly affected by COVID and being isolated. Where was she living at that
She was
time?
living in a flat in the same town as me.
Right.
By herself, though.
Yes.
Her cats.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to events in 2021.
Okay.
Okay. Before we talk about the November of 21, just generally give us an idea, if you can, about how Paula was at this time.
It was the worst I'd seen her in a long time. Like I mentioned, the depot injections seemed to really help her. But then 2021 come around and she was just sad. She was really struggling with her mental health. Like I said, I don't think COVID helped, but I saw a bigger increase in the amount of drugs she was taking. yeah, she just felt like we was going backwards with her care again.
Okay. And at this time, she had a social worker in the community, did she?
Yeah, she did, but she was seeing the social worker less and less. Again, that was, when I asked why, that was blamed on COVID as well. I don't think she really got... She had a social worker that she did get along with, and then she had one that she didn't really like. Yeah, she was struggling a lot.
Was she still going in and out of the Linden Centre at this time?
No.
And so you've described perhaps as difficult dynamics with one of the social workers. Can you help us with how her drug use was being managed at this time?
It wasn't. Like I said, the only thing that happened with her drug use, or the only thing they mentioned, was the rehab. Other than that, nothing was really mentioned about it.
And what about her mental health? She was still on her depot injection, but any other support that you can recall at this time?
Not really, no. She was, like I said, she was struggling, and the more she struggled, the less help she got, it seemed like. She was even saying, she was asking that when her social worker come round, can she come round just her? Because the social worker kept bringing strange, in Paula's words, strange men into her flat. And due to Paula's past, that made her feel very uncomfortable, which she expressed to the social worker. But the social worker just wouldn't listen. She said, well, they got to be trained somehow. And I, in the end, had to get onto the social worker and just said, you could train him with the person before, the person after, but this is really affecting Paula's mental health. Please don't bring strange men round.
And did that then stop after you intervened?
Yeah. But it's sad that they wouldn't take Paula's word for it. Paula asked them not to, and they wouldn't accept it.
Do you know how many times that happened?
No, I can recall twice of Paula mentioning to me personally, but I don't know how many times it happened.
Okay. And at this time, was Paula self-harming?
No, she'd gone quite a while without self-harming. I don't think she was.
And what about suicidal ideation? Was she expressing that around this time?
No, Paula said, it's quite weird and I don't understand it, but that's not for me to understand. She'd say she wanted to harm herself, but not to actually die. It was just an overwhelming feeling that she'd get, and she wasn't self-harming at the time because she'd feel like she'd let me down if she did, even though I'd stated she didn't let me down.
I'd like to turn to events of November 2021. Are you all right to carry on?
Yeah.
Now, in November, it was around about the 17th of November when Paula had a drug overdose, and she was taken to Broomfield Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems she was discharged, and then on the 18th, she went back to the accident and emergency department.
Yeah.
And then on the 19th, there was intervention with the home treatment team.
Yeah.
She attended A&E, and she was then at a mental health liaison team suite. And then on the 22nd of November, it seems that she was discharged. I want to ask you about that series of events in that time period.
Yeah.
Starting then with the 17th of November. Can you tell us about your recollection of events then with the drug overdose and the attendance at hospital?
Yeah, so Paula had called me on the 17th to say that she'd taken an overdose. So I drove back from work. I'd worked relatively close to her, called the ambulance for her, and she was taken into hospital and checked over. But they determined that it wasn't a very big overdose, as they called it, so they just discharged her the same day. And I met her at her house after she got home. She was just, she was just really down. She'd been saying stuff about her neighbours. I don't know whether that was her paranoia or what. But yeah, she was just really down. But discharged the same day, even though she was saying that she's going to do it again.
I'm sorry that it's probably very difficult to talk about, and I'm sorry to probe you on this, but in regards to her overdose, did she tell you at all what her intentions with that overdose were?
She didn't, and that at that time.
And when she was at the accident and emergency department and then discharged, do you know if she was assessed at all? Was she assessed for her mental health at that stage?
So I took her in. I remember taking her to. Is that on the 17th or the 18th?
Let's just stick to the 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know because I met her back at hers after.
In terms of her discharge from hospital, do you know if there was a plan that she was discharged with? Was she provided any information about who she could contact in a crisis, for example?
Not to my knowledge. She was in contact with Samaritans. They'd actually call her every day to make sure she was okay. But other than that, I don't know. She said she didn't hold much hope in the crisis team. She said she could call them when she was in a crisis and not a lot would happen, but she really, really had a lot of admiration for the Samaritans. She said they seemed like they actually cared.
So that was the Samaritans. You mentioned crisis, and I didn't quite catch who you referred to, but was there another team that she was in
Yeah,
touch
the
with?
crisis team.
The crisis
She
team.
got, I know she'd always be told she should call the crisis team if she's having a crisis, but yeah, she said when every time she had called the crisis team, she felt like they didn't do a lot, whereas the Samaritans, she felt like she could talk to them and they weren't rushing her off the phone. And she had, like I said, she had a lot of admiration for them.
So
and
she
they'd call her to check on her as well, which I thought was like they actually cared.
So in terms of the crisis team, Paula had called them before.
Yeah.
And she didn't have a positive experience.
No.
Can you just explain why she felt that they didn't do a lot in the words that you use?
She felt like she'd just talk to them. She felt like they'd rush her off the phone and she wouldn't actually get anywhere with her, with like her treatment or anything. And she'd get no extra help when she was calling. She was wanting help.
I'd like to move on. Sorry, just to go back to this before we do move on to the following, the next few days.
Sorry, could I ask, when she left the hospital on the 17th,
Yeah.
was that when they said to her, phone the crisis team? When
I'm not too sure what happened on the 17th when she left. I had to get home because I've got my family.
Yeah.
I had to get home to my children.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she said, well, I know she made it home because I made sure that I constantly kept in contact with her, but she just said they'd done nothing. That's what she told me.
So you don't know when it was that she was put in touch with the crisis team?
So the social worker would tell her to call the crisis team.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's fine. That makes perfect sense.
Okay. And I think my question's probably much the same as the chairs, but I just wanted to clarify if there was any follow-up that was going to happen. Was Paula expecting somebody to contact her afterwards, or do you not know?
I don't know about that.
Okay. Let's move on then to the 18th, to the following day. You mention in your statement, for those that are following, it's paragraph 41 at page 7, that she attended the accident and emergency department again.
Yeah.
Which hospital was this?
That was at Broomfield as well.
Can you tell us, to the best of your recollection, why did Paula go back to the accident and emergency department that day?
She was telling me she had an overwhelming feeling that she was going to take her life. Again, she was saying the specific method that she wanted to do. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but she'd say the specific method that she'd want to do. But again, she'd say it's not like she wanted to die, she just needed some kind of relief. But I encouraged her to go to A&E. I took her there. She kept saying it's nobody cares, and I kept saying they will. And when I took her there, we was trying to get help, and I remember going into a room with her, and they were saying, "Oh, he was here yesterday." Not quite to that extent, but that's how it felt. There was no compassion in the nurse that we saw. We were just told again, no beds.
Can I just ask you a little bit more about that? So you took Paula.
Yeah.
Can you remember what time of day it was? Was it at night or during the day?
Later I can't remember exactly what time, but I know it was a bit later.
So late in the afternoon?
From what I recall, yeah.
And you say that she was seen by a nurse. Do you know if that was a mental health nurse?
No.
A triage nurse, maybe?
No, it was just... no, it wasn't a mental health nurse, I don't think.
Was Paula seen by a mental health nurse?
I'm not too sure. She was told there was no beds and then we were sent home, so no. Not to my knowledge.
When you say you were told there were no beds for what?
Because we were saying about... Paula wanted to be admitted into the mental health unit because of everything, but we was sent home. I don't know why we were sent home or who we were sent home by. Sorry, I can't answer that. Okay. I can't quite remember at the moment.
That's okay. But Paula had said she wanted to be admitted to a mental health unit.
Yes.
And there was some discussion about there being no beds.
Yes, that I do know.
Okay. And can you remember who said that about there being no beds? Was it the same nurse that you'd seen throughout or somebody different?
I can't remember, sorry.
And tell us about what the resolution of that was. Was it that Paula left the hospital or she waited at the hospital for a bed?
No, we left. I took her home. Yeah.
How did you feel about having to take her home?
Frustrated, I remember that. It just felt like we was getting nowhere. And for her to accept my offer to go to the hospital before she done anything. Again, I know she had taken the overdose the day before, but before she done anything again that day, I thought that we were getting somewhere and that this was going to be great because then she'll be in a safe place, and she just was getting more and more defeated by the day, both of us.
Was there a level of acceptance that she needed to be in hospital, but there just wasn't the capacity available for her at that time? I
don't really know. It just felt like we was just being told the same thing. It felt like Groundhog Day again and again. No beds, no beds.
And just before Paula was discharged, I'm going to ask you the same questions I asked before about what was she told? Was there going to be any follow-up? Was she given details about who to contact in a crisis? How was the fact that there weren't any beds available and that she was expressing suicidal ideation at that time? What kind of was in place? Was there a plan?
I'm not too sure if there was so much of a plan, but I'm pretty sure we got told that somebody would visit her at home for home care.
Is that the home treatment team? Does that...
Think so, yeah.
Possibly. That they would visit her at home?
Yeah.
Do you know when they would visit?
No, we didn't get told a day or time or anything.
And was she given any information about who she could contact in a crisis?
I can't remember that, sorry. How was
Paula in all of this when you got her back home? How was she?
She wasn't her. She just seemed defeated. She was getting. There was so little fight left. Whereas before she'd be making this big, I need help. But every day she was quieter and quieter.
So just going back to the beds, you say in your statement that there were no beds locally or nationally. Yeah. Was there any alternative that was offered to Paula?
No.
And she was discharged, was she, from the accident and emergency?
Yeah.
I'd like to move then to the 19th of November. You talk about a visit from the home treatment team. Can you help us with that at all?
Yeah, so she, sorry, bear with me 1 second.
That's all right. Take your time. We're in no rush. If it helps at all, we can have your statement in front of you, if that helps.
That's okay, thank you. I've got it here.
Just take your time.
Yeah, okay. So on that day, she did go to A&E again. And
so this was the third day in a row?
Yeah. Well, she'd contacted the Samaritans and yeah, I remember her going into A&E and actually, so where A&E is, you've got the main part for your broken legs and stuff, and then you've got the mental health unit round this side, and she actually got taken into there and was given like an emergency bed.
So just explain that to us. There's a sort of mental health unit within the accident and emergency department. Yeah. Was that the first time that she'd been taken into that smaller unit?
On this occasion, yeah. I think she might have been there before because one of the staff members knew of her.
And so on the earlier occasions when you had been with her to accident and emergency, the day before...
She hadn't been to that.
She hadn't been?
No.
And so where was she being spoken to? Was it in the reception of the accident and emergency or in a consultation room?
Just in a consultation room.
So this unit, this mental health unit, on this occasion, on the 19th that she was taken to, there was a bed there, you said?
Yeah.
What else? Just describe it to us, please.
Well, she went off to that bit. I only saw the reception part, and I took her stuff, and yeah, just left. I was in tears because one, I thought she was going to actually get help, but two, it was really sad as well seeing her. She just just looked like a little lost soul, bless her.
And so she went into the unit, you stayed outside. Do you know if she was assessed by a mental health professional?
So I just had to leave her there. I got told she was staying there until they were waiting for another bed in, I don't know, like the Linden Centre or somewhere to become available. I think that's the place where people are held, I don't know, sorry, until a place for the Linden Centre or somewhere comes available. She was there, and then I just have to keep calling to check on her.
I think it's the, you refer to it as the mental health liaison team suite.
Okay.
In your statement. So just describe to us, you've explained how you were feeling, happy that she was going to be getting some help, but also really sad to leave her and see her there.
Yeah.
How was Paula at this time?
Like I said, she was just quiet. She just wasn't herself. It felt, looking back, I know she was just giving up, but didn't realise that at the time.
Are you all right? And so you describe in your statement Paula staying there.
Yeah.
I think she stayed there on the 22nd, until the 22nd.
Yeah.
Were you able to speak to her whilst she was there?
So I didn't speak to her. Yeah, she had her phone. Sorry, I forgot about that. She did have her phone.
Okay. And just explain to us then on what happened on the 22nd, please.
My uncle passed away, and we'd had about 7 deaths in a really short amount of time. And I know my sister had her phone, and I didn't want her finding out, I don't know, on like Facebook or something. So I called the hospital and I explained, death's a trigger for my sister. She's not taking it well, so as soon as she finds out about my uncle, she's going to have a really bad time with it. I said, I'm coming to tell her face to face because I don't want her finding out. I said, can you just keep her phone away from her? And they said, well, luckily enough, she's just come to put it on charge. So I'll just say that it hasn't charged or whatever. I said, okay, I'll be there in about 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. So I went and dropped my son off, and then drove to the hospital. And I was close by there and my phone rang, and they said, oh, just so you know, the doctors have been to see Paula and she's getting discharged. I said, well, what do you mean? I said, I literally called 20 minutes ago to say I'm coming to tell her my uncle's just passed away and death's a trigger for her, and, you know, said I don't understand how she's been discharged. So anyway, I turned up and I went to see Paula. She was in this room, and I've got taken to her and I explained my uncle had died. And with that, my sister started having a panic attack, and she's waving her hands at her face and struggling to breathe. And I'm trying to get her to sit down because I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. She's really panicking. And with that, a doctor's come and dropped her bag at my feet and said, you need to take her now, we need the bed. And I said, can you not see this? And he said, sorry, but we need the bed. So I had to take her out like that. And then she was trying to jump. She kept saying that she was going to jump out the car on the way home. But to try and make a joke of it, like I always do, I said, if you do that and damage my car, I'm going to be mad. And it kind of brought her around a little bit. And she's like, okay, I won't. So, yeah, I took her home. And again, she was even quieter then, which wasn't like her.
I want to ask you a little bit more about that. I appreciate it's difficult. We can take it slowly, and I can refer you to your statement if that's helpful as well.
Yeah.
So far as you were aware, before you had rung to speak to Paula about your uncle who had sadly passed, was it your expectation that she was going to be staying there and transferred to somewhere else where there was a bed?
Well, yeah, because we were told as soon as bed becomes available, she'll have a bed. We were just waiting for a bed, but at the time there was no beds available.
Okay. So your expectation was that she was going to go somewhere else,
Yeah.
not that she was going to be discharged?
No.
Okay. So just taking it in stages then, hearing that she was going to be discharged, what was your reaction to that?
I was just in shock because she's still constantly saying that she feels like she's going to try and take her life. And she very specifically said how she wanted to take her life as well.
Who did she say that to apart from you?
She was saying it to anybody that would listen. She's just saying, I need help. I feel like I want to take my life.
Did you hear her say that to the doctors?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was on the days earlier.
Yeah.
In the days earlier. But just trying to understand then how you go from that to then being discharged. Do you know what she had told the medical professionals whilst you weren't there?
No.
Do you think it's possible that she might have said she was fine?
Maybe. When she was in the car with me, she said that because I said, well, let's take, because she kept saying she felt like she was going to jump out the car, and I said, let's take you back there, and all she kept saying was, there is absolutely no point, nobody cares, nobody wants to help me. So maybe she just said it to get out of there, and that was her way of being able to die.
Yeah. And so, knowing what you had known and heard from Paula in the days before,
I'd have taken her back.
did anybody talk to you before that decision to discharge her was made?
Nobody. Like I said, all I got told was, come and pick her up, she's been discharged. And I said, you know, I'm on my way.
You were on your way, obviously, for a different reason.
Yeah.
Do you know if any other family members or friends were spoken to
Nobody,
before that decision to discharge her was made? No, you don't know, or no, they weren't spoken to?
They weren't spoken to.
Just trying to put yourself back, and I know that's probably very difficult, but putting yourself back in at that time, how did that feel for you?
I was so angry. I was so angry, and I felt just, again, I was starting to feel defeated. And do you know what's one of the worst things is Paula used to always say, nobody listens to me, nobody, and I used to, I can't be that bad, it can't be that bad. And then I witnessed it all for myself, and I felt so guilty for ever doubting her, because she'd say, oh, they treat me awful, and they don't listen, and I say this, and I used to think, you know, they're professionals, of course and I used to, part of me used to think, maybe she's exaggerating due to her mental health. And then I witnessed it all for myself, and I've just, and how, like, she was in one of the most vulnerable states, and she's just being passed off like she's nothing.
You say that you witnessed it for yourself. Describe to us what exactly you witnessed.
Like, being told there's no beds, and just the nurses being cold, really cold with her, and just being dismissed so easy, and people just not listening, people talking over her because she's trying to explain how she feels, but they've got other people to see. And I could see why she'd think the way she thought.
And so I just want to ask you about speaking about the passing of her uncle, and that conversation that you had to have with Paula. Where were you when you had that conversation?
We was in a room in the mental health unit in the A&E where I'm guessing her bed was. I didn't get to ask her too many questions because obviously I went in and I led with that because I thought I don't want to do this outside because as death was a trigger for her and because we'd dealt with so much of it, I thought if I could just tell her there, then if anything did happen, then maybe I'd have help.
And so you described a doctor. How do you know they were a doctor?
Because he said, hello, I'm Paula's doctor. And I didn't get his name, but he's like, she's been discharged, can you take her now? And we need the bed. I said, can you not see she's having a panic attack? And he's like, I'm so sorry, but we need a bed.
And so as a result of receiving this news, which was a trigger for her as you've described, was there a further assessment of her mental health before she was then discharged, a result of that?
No, I had to take her back through the other waiting room for A&E, because that's the way you get out of the mental health unit, while she's still having a panic attack.
Did anybody stop her and ask if she was okay, or if you needed some time? Maybe not in the mental health unit if they needed it, but...
No, it just left.
I didn't quite catch your last answer. You said, no, we just left.
Yeah.
And you've described how Paula was in the car journey. When she got home, can you tell us how she was once she got home?
She just said she was tired, and she said she hadn't slept properly whilst being there. And I offered to stay with her for a bit. Obviously, I had to go pick up my son as well. But she's like, no, I'm okay, love, I'll be fine.
And so again, I've asked you before about, was she discharged with a plan in place? Was somebody going to be following her up? Was someone going to visit or call? Can you tell us anything about that?
I didn't get any of that information as far as I was concerned. She was just discharged. I even had asked whether she wanted to stay at mine, but she didn't. And it's like sometimes if she was having a bad day, I'd swing by, pick her up on my way home from work and just sit her on the sofa and feed her. And that would make her happier again, just being around us. But she didn't want to even do that day.
From that discharge on the 22nd of November 21, did she go back to the accident and emergency department as far as you're aware?
No.
She didn't go back to the Linden Centre?
Not that I know of, no.
She was under the care of the community team, is that right?
Yes.
And I think it's the home treatment team. Can you tell us about what you observed with the home treatment team and how Paula interacted with them?
I don't really know. I know that she kept just not receiving her medication in that time. And what they were saying to her is that she'd have to go pick it up from the pharmacy on a daily basis, but she'd fractured her back. So, yeah.
When did she fracture her back?
I think that was, I can't remember, but it was like between November, December time.
And so this wasn't her depot injection?
No.
This was other medication?
Yeah.
And she was told to pick it up from the pharmacy. Was she still having her depot injections at this time?
Yeah.
And would she see a nurse for those depot injections?
Yeah, she said that was, so before she'd see a nurse and she'd get like conversation and they'd ask her how she's doing. She said, but with the COVID restrictions, she was getting less and less and less time with somebody. So they'd just come and give her the injection and go. Or, yeah.
So it wasn't a sort of in-depth...
No.
Okay. Do you know how long, roughly, those appointments would be?
Minutes.
And would they come to her house, or would she go...
I think she'd go to her doctors for it.
And I think you mentioned earlier that it was fortnightly. Was that the same?
I think so, yeah.
And so she was having that depot injection fortnightly. Was there, as far as you're aware, was there any other interaction with anyone
No.
from mental health?
No.
You say in your statement that Paula was discharged from the home treatment team on the 6th of December of 2021. Can you help us with how or why that happened?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Were you spoken to before she was discharged? No. At that time, how was her substance use being dealt with?
It wasn't being dealt with. She was still using.
And how, give us an indication of how Paula was at that time in December of 21.
I don't know, she wasn't herself, but I couldn't put my finger on why. She just wasn't herself. I can't say exactly how.
Was she expressing thoughts of ending her own life?
No. I mean, I suppose she was drinking more. I picked her up Boxing Day, and I spoke to her about 20 to 11, and I said, I was supposed to pick her up at 11. I said, I might be about 15 minutes late. I said, I might not make it at 11. I said, she oh, God's sake, hurry up. I said, okay. Well, I got there at about 11:05, and in that time, she got absolutely hammered. So drunk. And I said to her, you come here, it's Boxing Day. I said, do you need to pull yourself together because I've got kids? And so I sat on the sofa and fed her. She just wanted pate. So I fed her cheese and crackers and stuff, and she tried to sober her up a little bit, but she was getting quite drunk a lot. So I suppose it wasn't her, it wasn't normal for her.
I'm going to move on to the 6th of January 2022. I don't propose to ask you much about it other than, sadly, that was the day that Paula died and you sadly found her.
Yeah.
Is that right? I'm going to move on to ask you 3 more topics.
Okay.
What is the inquest, and secondly, investigations post Paula's death and your recommendations. But I think before we come to talk about those topics, I think it's probably now, Chair, a good time to take a break, if that's all right, until 11:30. Thank you, Chair. I think we're ready to carry on with the witnesses' evidence. So, Sam, we left off about to start talking about the inquest. So I mentioned I've got 3 topics to cover with you: the inquest, investigations post-death, and recommendations that you invite the Chair to consider.
Yeah.
Turning then to the inquest, I'm going to, if it's helpful to you, just signpost where we are in your witness statement. So page 11, paragraph 65, if that's helpful to you.
Yeah.
You say here that the inquest took place on the 27th of October of 2023. And what I wanted to ask you about is what you say at paragraph 66 of your statement. I'll ask that it's put up on the screen so that everyone has the benefit of seeing it. It's page 11, paragraph 66. And you talk there about legal representation. You weren't legally represented, is that right?
I wasn't, no.
Do you know if the trust attended at all? Was there any healthcare professionals that attended the inquest?
No.
Okay, so it was yourself and the coroner alone, is that right?
I did have 2 people come with me, but that was it.
And in terms of not having legal representation at the inquest, is there any observation that you want to make about that?
I wasn't aware I was allowed any. I had a family liaison officer, and I had expressed to her many times how disgusted I was in the care that my sister received. And I also told her that I wanted to fight it. But I was told, and I quote, "No point trying to fight it, you won't ever get anywhere."
Okay, and this is a police family liaison officer?
I'm unsure, sorry. It was just a family liaison officer I was assigned.
Okay, right. And is there anything else that you wanted to say about the inquest that I haven't asked you?
No, like I was unable to get her medical records. I kept asking about her medical records and whether I could have them, but I was turned from one place to another place to another place, and I just didn't get anywhere with it.
I'd like to move on and ask you about investigations post Paula's sad death. You say, and to help you, it's page 12. I'll ask if that can be put up, please. Page 12, paragraph 68 of your statement. Right. We can see here that you make reference to an after-action review report that was conducted by EPUT. Just tell us about how that came about. Was it a report that you were told about there was going to be, a report that was going to be prepared, or was it something you were told about after the event?
So I was told that the EPUT after action review, that they had absolutely no issues, and that they was pleased with the way Paula was treated. And I then argued this, obviously, because I wasn't happy myself, and I was trying to fight it. I was trying to say that I'm not happy. The way my sister was treated was not right. She was treated in my opinion, disgusting. Like, she kept getting promised all, like, the bed, and she'd get promised the rehab, and she'd get promised this, that, and nothing ever come to fruition. So then after I received that, I put together a list of questions to put forward to EPUT, and I got a response back. But the response I got back, I saw as, I don't know, they didn't answer any of my questions. Like, I'd say, I'd put something across, and the answer I'd get back is this a question Samantha wants answered, or something like that? But nothing had actually get answered, like, because I didn't put it in the correct terminology. I'd just say, like, I'm really upset with this, and how come this is, so.
I just want to try and...
Yeah, sorry.
No, please don't apologise. You haven't done anything wrong at all. I just want to probe a little bit more about that. So let's just start at the beginning of the after-action report. Were you told that one was going to be done?
No.
Okay. And whilst that investigation was taking place, were you spoken to about it?
A little bit by the family liaison officer, I think, from what I can remember.
And when they spoke to you about it whilst it was ongoing, why were they speaking to you? What were they speaking to you about?
Well, I just said, this was when I was saying that I wanted to know what had happened, and she's like, I'm sure. I didn't know that was specifically, I didn't know that was the report. I just got told there'd be a follow-up, like, saying about Paula's care.
Okay. Let's see if we can have up, please, page 12, paragraph 69, 70 and 71. Here you set out sections of the report. So this was a report that was sent to you, was it?
Yes.
Okay. And you say here, you've quoted some parts of the report. The group struggled, so this is paragraph 69, the group struggled to identify any formal actions to take following the AAR, the after-action review. It was felt that reflection of the positive practices of the teams should be considered, and that other teams should reflect on their practice with complex clients, further stating that learning would be shared widely throughout the Trust by risk management to share learning with community teams across the Trust. And then at paragraph 70, you go on to say it was identified that the team were responding to Paula's fluctuations in mental state appropriately and providing levels of support that were reasonable to the level of risk period. It was difficult to identify learning as the team had followed policy, procedure and beyond. Attempts were made by the team to predict difficulties around medication and how to support Paula with this during difficult periods and increasing the level of support as required. One thing that was taken away from the after-action review meeting was that the team did in fact support Paula to the best of their abilities and worked well as a team to manage numerous long-term risk. And then before we come on to paragraph 71, I just want to ask you about the meeting, the after-action review meeting. Were you invited to attend a meeting?
I can remember having a meeting, but I don't know if I was so much... I mean, obviously I was invited to it, but I kept saying to my family liaison officer about it, and then about having a meeting about it, because I said there's questions I need answers to. This doesn't sum up. This to me is completely could be wrote about somebody else. It doesn't sound like my sister's care. So then I was invited to a meeting, but I don't know whether I'd have been invited to that if...
Okay, so there was a meeting afterwards that you do recall attending. It was after the report was done?
Yeah, like a Zoom meeting.
Okay. And just explain to us, if you can please, Sam, what was the response of those individuals who you were saying, this doesn't represent Paula's care?
I just got told that it was pretty much a reading of this, pretty much the same. And because I didn't have her medical records, because I couldn't get her medical records because they were leading me round and round in circles to get them, I couldn't specifically say, when you're in that much grief after you've just found somebody you love, trying to then jump through all these hoops and twists and turns and everything to try to find answers, and then you're just being fobbed off. It's so difficult, because then you just get to how Paula felt, where I just feel defeated.
Can I be absolutely clear? At no point before this report had anybody... Sorry, I'll phrase that differently. Had anybody at any point before this report was put to you and you saw it, asked you for your views?
No, nobody. No, I wasn't getting asked anything. I was expressing to my... Because this is the only person I had contact with, was the family liaison officer. I kept saying, I want answers. And I said to her, I remember one point I said, I'm going to fight this. And she turned around to me and said, there's no point, you're not going to get anywhere.
Thank you.
I think if we have a look at the paragraph 71 at the bottom of page 12, you say they also proudly cover what they say went well in relation to Paula's care. And then if we go to page 13, at the top of page 13, care coordinator had been in place for last 6 weeks following Paula's request to change, which the team facilitated. The team reacted to her needs as they came up, changed care coordinator, organised urgent medication reviews, provided duty input and weekend support, and Paula engaged well with the support. And then it goes on to talk about the shock and surprise of Paula's death. So that's her care in the community, it would seem. Would you agree with that?
No. Even down to this... Where did I just see this? Oh, yeah. Was being monitored face-to-face every 2 weeks for the depot. This gave time for care coordinator to engage and would spend around 60 minutes at each appointment to allow Paula time and space to explore her difficulties. I think I mentioned earlier, they were in and out. Because
So just so everybody who's following this can see, this is the third bullet point on page 13. I'm not sure if we can highlight that. Thank you. So this was when she was meeting for her depot injections in the community. You described earlier, I hope I fairly summarise your evidence in this way, that she would have her injection, there would be a couple of minutes of conversation, and then she would leave. And pre-COVID, it was different.
Yeah, it was.
But your understanding of Paula's experience at that time was that it was a very brief interaction. Is that a fair summary?
That's fair, yeah.
And so where it refers here to Paula spending around 60 minutes at each appointment to allow her time and space to explore her difficulties, do you recognise that at all?
Sorry, can you...
Do you recognise the 60-minute appointment that she would have had?
Not... She used to have that.
Yeah.
But she hadn't had that for a long time.
Is it possible that she was having these appointments but you weren't aware of it?
She told me. She kept saying she wants to talk to somebody. She got, like I explained, lonely during COVID because she was isolated and her care got cut back more and more. And she'd explained to me that her care was getting cut back more and more and more. And then when I brought that up, I got told it wasn't. But again, if I could have had medical records or something, or maybe I'd know myself. But she wouldn't lie about that. She'd tell me straight after. I spoke to her all the time on the phone, like always on the phone with her. And she'd get really upset that about her care being cut back.
And just so we can put into context, please, you outline your concerns. So this is over on page 14. At the top of page 14, you say to pick out a few of the concerns with the report, and then you go on to say at paragraph 77 that this was misleading, and this is in regards to the 60 minutes that you've mentioned. And you say here that Paula complained to you multiple times that she was not having face-to-face meetings with her social worker as often as she needed to.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. And then if we go on to paragraph 79, sorry, I don't mean to skip over it, but paragraph 78, you mentioned it earlier about the trainees being brought to... Was there anything else that you wanted to say about that?
No.
And then at paragraph 79, the report talks about concern of the care coordinator and that Paula was higher risk of overdose or misadventure. And it then talks about how she died and their surprise with regards to that.
See, that shocks me, because if anybody had seen her within the months previous, they'd have known that that particular method was the only method she was talking about, although she did take a couple of overdoses. The way she did end her life was exactly how she'd been saying for the months leading up, whereas if they were there talking to her about all this beforehand, then it wouldn't have come as such a shock.
And I just want to understand in terms of the chronology, because we know that you received a letter from Patient Safety. I think it was the 15th of March. Let me just double check the date. Yes, 15th of March of 2022. That's at paragraph 72, page 13 of your statement. With regards to your concerns that you raised, were those concerns that you raised in writing?
In an email.
In an email?
Yeah.
Following the meeting that you had after the report was prepared? The Zoom meeting?
Sorry, I can't remember, sorry.
Okay. And just tell us, please, as a result of the Zoom meeting that you attended, the concerns that you had, that you expressed in an email, how did you feel that your concerns were being dealt with?
They weren't. I didn't get any answers. I got what felt like sarcastic, condescending comments to each question, but no answers. It was like, okay, so is this something Samantha wants an answer to? Well, yeah, that's why I'm mentioning it. I think I've got... Yeah, so I wouldn't... The way I wrote my email, I don't think I structured it in the correct way. Like, my questions weren't... I should have been more precise of what I wanted answering, and I think they saw a little loophole so they wouldn't answer the way that... Yeah.
I want to take you to page 15, if I may, and paragraph 86.
Yeah.
So this is, you say here that you sent to the coroner's office on the 21st of October 2022 your concerns, and I just wondered whether that helps jog your memory at all of the chronology.
Yeah.
So does that help you?
Yeah. So obviously I sent the email after the report findings. But as I mentioned, there wasn't any clear answers to any of my questions.
So it was an email of concerns that you sent to the coroner's office, but you also sent to EPUT as well, did you? Or was it just to the coroner's office?
I'm not 100% sure, sorry. Okay. I know that
And if we turn over the page then at page 16, we can see there listed A to G, and it goes over onto page 17. I wonder if we could have that on screen, please. So it's page 16. It does go over to the next page, but just looking at page 16, these are the concerns that you raised, were they?
Yeah.
And is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wanted to speak about with regards to those concerns? Just take your time.
Okay. No, there is the one when she was left in hospital without her medication. They weren't giving her any of her medication. So that was one. I'd forgotten about that. That's when she had her fractured back. So she had that while she was in the hospital for the 3 days. And that's just another question of why didn't she have her medication? Because if she didn't have any medication, she said she was allowed paracetamol for a broken back, but she wasn't having anything else. And like her BPD medication or anything like that. And that also makes me think, when they come to discharge her after those 3 days that she was kept in, obviously I don't know what she said, but why was her medication kept away from her at that time? It just shows how poor her care was.
So just to orientate us in time, this was sometime between November and December.
That was in November, in the
21.
3 days, yes.
And so there were 3 days she was in hospital with her back.
Yeah, she claimed she wasn't given any of her medication.
Do you know what hospital she was at?
Broomfield.
What I'd like to do next is to turn to recommendations. But before I do that, is there anything else about the investigation that you wanted to raise that I haven't asked you about?
No.
Okay. So I'll ask if we could have page 17 of your statement, paragraph 88. This is the section that deals with your recommendations for change that you'd invite the chair to consider. It goes over the page onto page 18 as well, at B and C on that page. Just looking at page 17, paragraph 88A, you've listed there interdisciplinary communication. Do you want to expand upon that recommendation and why you invite the chair to consider it?
Myself and my sister and family friends would always be calling the doctors and all the social care and people, but it's like there was no communication in between different care facilities. So nobody ever knew what we was talking about. There needs to be like more communication if you're going to be dealing with somebody's care.
And so that's care with families, discussions and involving family in those decisions, but also it sounds to me you're talking about between facilities, so between the community care and between the hospitals. Is that right?
Yeah, but also it's like you mentioned earlier when you said, oh, did anybody call you to mention she was being discharged and how was it? Nobody calls, nobody asked. You know, for all they know, Paula she could have asked to just come out, and I do think there needs to be more communication from family and stuff. Sorry.
Turning over the page then to page 18, at the top of that page, you say scarcity of inpatient beds. Do you just want to explain why you invite the chair to consider that recommendation?
Well, every time we'd go to hospital, we was getting told there's no beds, there's no beds. Paula did die waiting for a bed. She was told every time we went there that there's no beds, there's nowhere for her to go. And that just led to her being sent home. Needs to be more beds for... Otherwise, this is just going to keep happening again and again if people keep getting sent home.
And at C, you say the need for proper mental health assessments. Just explain what you mean by that, please.
Sorry, I'm just refreshing my
That's okay, take your time.
Yeah, so there needs to be proper mental health assessments because my sister was sent home, as far as I'm concerned, still being a risk to herself. If they'd have done a proper assessment after she kept saying how she wanted to take her life, then surely she shouldn't have been sent home. As far as I'm concerned, she got sent home to die.
Well, thank you, Sam. I have no further questions for you. Chair, do you have any questions for the witness?
Yes, I'm just a little bit confused about this time when she was in the mental health liaison suite.
Yeah.
She'd gone to A&E. Was that those 3 days? Had she gone for her back, or had she gone because she wanted to see somebody about her mental health?
That was only about her mental health.
That was only about her mental health.
Yeah.
So when was it that she went about her back?
So when she went about her back, that was before then, but I don't really know because I didn't take her for that.
Right. It was sometime earlier in November.
Yeah, but I think she'd got really stressed out, kicked a door and fractured her back. So.
Yes. No, I understand.
But yeah, when I took her, it was simply for her mental health.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you very much. Well, Chair, we have 3 photographs that you have kindly provided that we're going to now see of Paula. So I'll ask that those photographs be put on the screen, please, now. Thank you very much for sharing those photographs with us. We're now going to take a 10-minute break to see if there are any questions from anybody for you. If there aren't any questions, that concludes your evidence. And can I thank you in advance for giving your evidence to the inquiry and for your witness statement as well that you've provided. So if there aren't any questions, that concludes your evidence to this inquiry. If there are, we will come back. Chair, if there aren't any questions, I believe we will be resuming at 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed from me. I'm very grateful for your evidence.
Thank you.
And we will sit again at 2 o'clock if there are no questions.